Cedra Mayfield, and this is LegalSpeak, where we break down what's happening in the legal industry. We are recording live at the Women Influence and Power in Law Conference taking place in D.C., and joining us now is Emily Murphy, partner at Thompson Coburn. Emily, thank you for joining us here on LegalSpeak.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to WIPL in D.C. Now, is this your first time at WIPL?
This is my very first time.
What do you think so far?
I am blown away by the quality of the women here, the inspiring speeches and panels. I can't get enough.
Now, I've got to ask you because, it's kind of a no-brainer, but what sets WIPL apart from other conferences you might have attended?
I would say the attendees are so welcoming here. Everyone is so warm. Everybody wants to meet everyone else. So it is just an incredibly open place where you get to be yourself and meet hundreds of new people every day.
I love it. So talk about being yourself. Who are you and what are you up to of late in the legal world?
So I am a partner at Thompson Coburn, which is a St. Louis-based law firm. I am in the Washington, D.C. office here. I'm a corporate M&A partner. I am also the practice group leader of our higher education group. So I've been keeping busy doing deals, closing transactions, and enjoying life.
And your clients have ranged from some of everybody. We're talking startups to established companies, spanning government and higher education. You've got a special focus in federally regulated areas, correct?
That's right. That's right.
All right. And without a doubt, you've proven yourself time and time again, obviously, to be strategic and successful. So when it comes to closing complex transactions, you've been better yet, pull back the curtain for us on how your personal brand has helped you in your career, because you're going to do that on a day one conference, or you actually did it already on a conference today. Let me back up. That panel was entitled The Power of Presence, Boosting Your Brand and Visibility with Intention and Authenticity.
Yes.
That's a mouthful.
It is. Let me break it down for you. So you might imagine that as a woman of color, I am oftentimes the only person that looks like me on corporate transactions. Lots of times it's me and 12 men on a, Teams call or something. I used to be self-conscious about that, but now I've turned it around and it's my superpower. No one will ever forget what I said, and no one will ever forget that I'm at that meeting. They may forget what Joe or Bob or Matt said or who said it, but it's very clear that Emily was on that call and Emily took control.
I absolutely love that. So please enlighten us on what your personal brand is.
My personal brand is eternal optimist and just go-getter. Like, I will go to the mat and close your transaction for you. Nothing will stop me. If you've got a closing checklist with 79 items, I'm like, let's go. Let's get it done. So that is just my personal brand. I bring humor, I bring cheer, I do everything in a collaborative manner. So if you want like a really nasty shark attorney, I'm not your gal, but if you want a deal closed, come to me.
And when it comes to kind of cultivating this power, like this innate power that then exudes to your presence, where do you start? Because not everybody just has that.
It takes time. I would say that when I was an associate, I was a little bit more timid. I was trying to find my voice. I was observing others around me and seeing how they handled transactions and how they kind of talked to other people and the way that they navigated their way through the world. And I decided to just be myself, and that has really rung true. People feel, what I'm giving out, and they love it, and people come back to me and they say, hey, can you be my attorney? Because you look like you're having a lot more fun than I'm having with my attorney, so can you be my attorney now? So I'm getting great feedback from that, from being myself.
And then from the panel discussion in particular, what were some of the tidbits you shared on the panel? That's kind of like part one. I know you're not supposed to do compound questions, but I love them. And then
I'll try to remember.
Right? If not, I'll help you. Okay. And then part two is kind of, did you learn anything on the panel?
Oh, I learned a ton. I think women are struggling out there. It's kind of a challenging world. We all kind of need to band together. We're all in this together. We need to support each other. Organizations and conferences like this really give us a chance to be together, to share our stories, to share our knowledge, so that we can all the boats can rise in the tide. So one of the things that I said was, you guys need to be intentional about your brand. Do not just think that doing great legal work and submitting it on time, that's table stakes. You've got to get out there. You've got to know who you are, and you've got to show people how you differentiate from other people. There are 100,000 corporate attorneys out there who could do technically what I do. Why are people calling me? They're calling me because I'm having a great time, and I'm going to bring you along. I'm going to get the deal done.
I love that. And then what did you learn? What was something where you were like, aha?
So I think, hearing everybody's stories has been really enlightening to me, and just saying that everyone can show up the way that they are. One of my panelists said that, she happened to start a new job and find out that she was pregnant a week later. So guess what? She started a new job and had twins, came back 4 months later, and she's still a professional general counsel. So I learned a ton about, accepting workplaces and being who you are in the workplace, and that might be a very pregnant woman.
Yeah, that's valid. So when it comes to kind of showing up and owning who you are, I know at what point did something kind of switch for you? At what point did you have that light bulb moment where you're like, let me turn it on and let me maintain it, as opposed to kind of showing up? Because you talked about essentially being a little more timid in the beginning.
Yep.
And then you had your aha moment, your epiphany.
Yep.
What was the impetus for that?
I would say there's a natural break in a law firm. As you're an associate, you're kind of just doing really good work and being reliable and being the go-to person for partners. And then once you make partner, I made partner about 10 years ago. Once you make partner, you've got to step up your game. You can't just be a great lawyer, because everybody's a great lawyer. Mm-hmm. So you got to do more than that. So I started to think about who I was, who I wanted to project, what kind of energy I wanted to put out there, whether it's on LinkedIn, content, all that kind of stuff. So I just started being more intentional about it. Instead of just saying, I'm just going to passively see where my career goes, I decided to take the reins and say, this is my brand, and this is how I'm going to do my work, and this is my style of practice. And I hope that works for a lot of people, and I've gotten great feedback from it.
And we love tangible tidbits. So you talked about LinkedIn, for instance.
Yeah.
What are you doing on LinkedIn to stand out?
So I really love LinkedIn. I know some people think of it as kind of like a chore, another social media to check. For me, I think of it as a place to check in once a week, a couple times a week. I like to put out my content of, I have so much knowledge to share in my industry and the things that I've done and seen. So I love to share my knowledge with my industry. I also love to be helpful. I want to help my clients find their next CFO. I want to help my clients find an immigration attorney if that's what they need. So I love connecting people and saying, are you interviewing for head of HR? I got somebody for you. Let me put you in touch. And, it's just, my brand is to be helpful to others. That's my role as outside counsel.
I love that. And I think that's something that our listeners can actually apply and use. We love tangible things.
Yes.
Okay, so final thoughts. If we had to pick maybe 2 or 3 things from the panel discussion in particular that we'd want people to remember, what would it be?
It would be, I know it's kind of hard, but be authentic, be your true self, because that's what's going to be sustainable in your career. I think we're past the, Emily, you need to lower your voice to sound more like a man on calls, or you need to act more like a man. We don't have to do that anymore. We can actually be pregnant women. We can be, really optimistic and sense of humor on a transaction. We don't have to be all serious and gruff. We can just be ourselves, and people respond to that because it's authentic. So I think, I want people to take away from that you don't have to try to be anybody else anymore. You could just be yourself. It's so much easier. You don't have to remember what you're supposed to be like. You could just be yourself. So
I love that. Be yourself and stand out. And I feel like I just got the green light to all of our listeners to be myself. So just be prepared. Emily, anything else you would like to add?
It's been a great experience. I encourage everyone to come to WIPL if they get the opportunity. You're just surrounded by so many powerful women. It's really been inspirational.
Well, thank you for joining us here on LegalSpeak.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, signing out from WIPL, taking place in D.C. I'm Cedra Mayfield. This is LegalSpeak. I think you hit that on the head, because that is so key to genuinely just be yourself, but be yourself confidently, and know that helps you stand out.